All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here for our annual Basketball and Winter Sports Media Day here at Northern Illinois University. I'm pleased to have everyone here in the Convocation Center. And we're going to have several of our winter sports coaches kick us off and talk a little bit about their seasons. And then we'll have questions, and then we'll have our basketball coaches, Lisa Carlson and Rashawn Burno, followed by one-on-one interviews with members of the men's and women's basketball teams. So let's get started, and I'm pleased at this time to bring up Ryan Ludwig, our wrestling coach, entering his 11th season now, coming off a fourth place finish in the MAC championships a year ago. They start their season with the inter-squad meet, a red and black duel tonight. Ryan?
Thanks, Donna. Thanks to everybody for coming out and letting us talk about Husky wrestling here a little bit. Want to offer a congrats and a big thank you to some of the fall sports really providing some momentum for us, with men's soccer in the top 20 in the country, and obviously Coach Hammock and the boys doing what they're doing in the MAC. So really creating a good ball of energy for us heading into these winter sports. So exciting times at NIU. But for us, coming off a successful campaign last year where we had 5 national qualifiers, which is great for us, just shy of our record of 6. Finished top 30 in the country, came back from the national championships with an All-American at 184 in Britt Wilson. He was also the outstanding wrestler of the MAC championship as he won his title. And then we also had our first Elite 90 award winner for NIU in NIU's history, which means Mason Kaufman, our 174-pounder, he had the highest GPA at the national tournament. So very proud of his efforts. The other guys that qualified were Bryce West at 133, Anthony Chaloni at 149, and Isaac Olenek at 165, and they are all returning, so we're very excited about that. So strong group of core returners, brought in about 13 newcomers, so a lot of energy in the room, a lot of new variety of partners, things like that. Everybody's pushing each other, so the preseason has been going very well. Now we're in our regular season. Over the last couple weeks, competition in the room has amped up, culminating with tonight's final red and black wrestle-off event. So that's 7 p.m. tonight in the Convocation Center, free admission. We've got 9 matches, 8 of whom competitors are all local guys. So I'm sure many of people in the area know who some of these competitors are. So that's our first initial event at home. Then we're going to break off next week, go out to the Michigan State Open on November 6th, which is one of the best open tournaments in the country. Hopefully build our national credentials there in terms of our resume. And then we open up at home on December 18th, and that's versus Kent State and Harper Community College. So we're hoping everybody can come out to those events. On top of that, guys, we've got a very competitive schedule. We're going to host several nationally ranked teams in Oklahoma's coming to town. We're going to go compete against Northwestern, Purdue, fly down to Little Rock, wrestle them in Cal Poly. So just a breadth of competition, both regionally and nationally, that should prepare us very well for this year's national championships. Anybody have any questions? Yes. Yeah, Mason's journey has been, pretty unique. So 2 years ago, he was a 157-pounder. So to jump from 157 to 174 in itself is a monumental task, and he did that with grace and with ease. And to not only do that and make the weight cut, quote-unquote, easier, but to really succeed and have performance at that weight class was amazing. So it just speaks to his character and the way he does things. He did that very well. The weight was quality weight. Really opened up his energy in terms of competition, and then to balance that with his 4.0 in a very tough major and field of study was really impressive. And again, for him to be taking post grad classes, those kind of things, and ultimately want to be into med school, we couldn't find a better leader in terms of an academic and student athlete for these younger guys coming in. It's momentum. Everybody's, like you said, we want the expectations to be higher. Our expectations are not only in the Mid-American Conference, but at the national level. We've always talked about that, and now for for us to bring home some of those national accolades just kind of sets that guidepost that this is how it's done. Guys like Britt Wilson, the way he approaches his daily training, the way his mentality is through a win, through a loss, the way he comes into that room to get better every single day, that leads the way for everybody on the team. And a guy like Isaac Olenek, who, yes, he has opened a lot of eyes in the last couple of years, so he's one of the most competitive individuals we've ever had the pleasure to coach, so I know his expectations are incredibly high. And again, it's going to be very interesting this year because with the eligibility waivers people have gotten, we've got student athletes that are coming back, wrestlers that have been coming back, so this past their eligibility, which should have been. So this year's national tournament is going to be more packed than it ever has been. So I think to get on the stand and to do things at the national level this year are going to be even that much more special.
You mentioned, the extra year eligibility because of COVID. How much have things sort of returned to normal for you guys in terms of preseason workouts, and how much are things still kind of changing?
Yeah, we're still very careful with all those things, right? I mean, cleanliness, hygiene, all those kind of things with our mats, with the way we train is always at an all-time high. I think that has changed forever for the good. But what's really been pleasurable is that we've been able to get on the mats a lot earlier this year, right? We could be in there this summer, we could be in there this fall, when last fall we were trying to find areas out in the open where we could just get in our stance and move around. So we've had a lot more opportunity to get better this fall than we had in the past.
You mentioned 13 newcomers. Are there any that have stood out in preseason workouts that you can see a lot of this year?
Yeah, I'd say typically with the freshmen, we like to redshirt guys, right, and send them to open tournaments and let them develop. But if I was going to name a few, I mean, these guys are, very smart, hardworking individuals as a group. But we've got a transfer that came in from Harper Community College named Tulga Zumbayan. He was a junior college national champion at 157. He's impressed us with his work ethic and his focus, so it'll be interesting to see him compete tonight. And then Blake West, I think, is another to mention. He was a couple-time state champ and a very highly touted recruit out of Minnesota. So he'll be looking to take the reins at 125 eventually in his career, and he's competing tonight as well.
Anything else for Coach Ludwig?
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move on to our women's track and field team with Connie Teaberry, head coach, in her 18th season, coming off leading the Huskies to the MAC Indoor Championship last year, where team also won the cross-country championship last year, and she is leaving in just a few minutes here to head out to the 2021 cross-country championships. So with that, we'll let Coach Teaberry give us a little update.
Thank you, Donna. And I want to echo what Coach Ludwig said. We want to keep the momentum going. Congratulations to the football team and then the soccer team on the great seasons that they are having. And I know they're going to continue going on and doing great things. And we want to, follow suit with that. We're still in our fall training. And it is going extremely well. The best thing about this is that when you have student athletes that buy into the program and what you're doing, and they go home for the summer, and then they actually come back in shape, that makes your fall training, exceptional. So the girls are working hard, they're focused, and they're bought into the new staff. We have a new distance coach in Coach Marino and a new jumps coach in Coach Daphne, and so it's very easy to mesh with the group and get the girls to continue to work hard, so we have something to work for. We're trying to regain that title again as MAC champions indoors. We bring back a wealth of talent. We actually have 3 transfer girls that we've brought in, and those young ladies, as of right now, cover holes that we have on the track, from the sprints to the heptathlon, and also in the jumps. And their marks, as of right now, coming from other institutions, can actually put points on the board in our conference today. So we're hoping that we just stay healthy and we keep moving forward with those young ladies. But then we return. We had a young group last year. Although we won, we had a really young group last year. And so we're returning a couple of ladies that got second in the conference championship as well. And so we're looking for them to be able to take that momentum and hopefully get first. We want to make sure we're pushing them to reach higher than they did last year. We don't want to settle. And then we also have a couple of MAC champions, and Kimon Hines, she won the 60 meters indoors, and then Jasmine won the long jump outdoors, but she'll be returning indoors as well. To win that championships, we had a lot of small points, you know, that added up. We even had a couple of freshmen at that time that are sophomores now that got second in the conference. So that covers our 60-meter hurdles, that covers our 400, that covers our 200. You know, so we've had a wealth of talent. Our makeup of the team is a little different than it was last year, but we think we still got the grit to get done what we need to get done. As far as our schedule, we try to make sure our schedule is competitive. We want to make sure we see the best to be the best. So our first meet is December the 11th. We'll go to Iowa. And then they go home, unfortunately, and hopefully they work out and they stay in shape. But when they come back from winter break, January the 15th, we actually go to Grand Valley. Grand Valley is a good one for us because it's a 300-meter track. It's an awesome facility. And then conference will be at Kent State, which is also a 300-meter track. So we try to, you know, echo what we'll see in conference in some of our meets. But some of the other places that we'll go once we get back is Illinois. We'll hit Notre Dame, and we'll also go to Eastern Illinois. Like I said again, our makeup of our team is a little different, but we really believe that if we minimize our injuries and stay focused, that this team can do some great things and we'll have another exceptional season this year. Are there any questions?
What does having, you know, some upperclassmen with experience coming, you know, from transfers, what does that do for a young group to kind of get them ready to compete as national?
Oh, it does a lot. I mean, when you talk about the going from high school competitions to actually competing in college competitions, it's night and day. You know, they have the savvy of knowing how the college meets run. They have the confidence of going in there and being, and some of them, like I said, being MAC champions. It takes a lot of weight off of them. And then they've been in training for 3 or 4 years. Two of the girls that we had transfer in are actually graduate students, so they're getting their graduate degrees. So they've done this for 4 years. One from Arkansas Pine Bluff, and one came from South Carolina. So they've seen some great competition, and they know what it takes to be champions. I'm sorry? Yes. Well, like I said, it's a different team, but these girls have been working hard. They have not missed a beat. We lost a couple of athletes and that have moved on, but the athletes that we have right now are really looking forward to the championship. They're going to put their best foot forward, as they always do. They've trained extremely hard. Coach Marino has them ready to go, and so we're looking at being in that middle of the pack. We're looking at doing some damage. Any other questions for me? Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks everyone. We're going to wrap up our look at the winter sports with Coach Sam Moriali of our women's gymnastics team. Sam is getting ready for his 11th season. He's a Husky alum, of course, and they've had their top 3 placings in the MAC championships in the last 3 tournaments, so looking forward to a season. They have an inter-squad meet here coming up later in November before getting underway in January. Sam?
Thank you, Donna, and thanks for having me. Recap a little bit of last year. Ended up second at the Max tournament. So like she said, we've been kind of trending in the right direction as far as athletically, so we're pretty happy with that. You know, and the goal was to compete for championships every year, and I feel like that's where the program is right now, and that's what we're trying to do. We were in it right to the end last year, and it's put a little bit of a bitter taste in our mouth for the kids, our returners coming back. Like, they want to come back and prove that they deserved that, and they wanted to get back at it. We did have 3 athletes get to the postseason. Natalie Hamp, Tara Kaufmal, and graduated senior Zoe Schroeder. So the great thing about that is, I mean, I feel like we're right on the cusp, too, as our team as far as getting to the postseason. So that's kind of where a lot of our energy is going this year, is to kind of take that next step as a competitive team. Something we were super proud of, and we kind of toyed around with it for the last couple years, as far as an academic team. In the gymnastics world, for the last couple years, we ended up being the 3rd place team. Last year, we actually got over the hump and were the top gymnastics GPA team in the nation with a 3.875. We did win our MAC championship in 2019, but being that academic champ to us was as important. But so we're going to chase that again, but we're definitely going to get after that athletic MAC championship again. Schedule coming up this year, it's kind of a little bit of a quirky schedule. January, we start on the road. We're kind of the road warriors. 4 weekends in a row, we kind of hit the road. Starting out January 7th at Florida, 4th ranked team in the nation last year. Second weekend, we go after, we're at Kent State with Kent State and U of I, both teams that made the regional qualifying thing. Like other coaches here, the goal with our program is we want to get against those good teams. We want to compete against as many teams that qualified to postseason or ranked teams that we can, just to show our kids that they belong there, that they're good enough to take that step. And I mean, we feel pretty comfortable on the floor against any of those guys. Then in February, we come home for 4 weekends. Highlight there is we are doing a Beauty and the Beast with wrestling again this year, February 20th. That's a quad meet for us with 2 MAC schools in Iowa State. I know Ryan's got 3 teams here, so that's going to be like a 3-ring circus. That's a lot of fun to come watch. And then we end the season on the road with 3 meets. The last 2 meets of the year, we go to Eastern in a quirk where they host us last regular season meet of the year, and then we compete championships at their gym. So I think it's an advantage for us to get to that venue 2 times in a row, get some comfort level there, getting ready for the championships. You know, we're super excited about this year. Like Connie said, the kids have really rededicated themselves coming out of COVID to just giving everything they got to take that next step. We are more prepared. We're deeper than we've ever been or as we've been. And what that means is we have enough routines on every event to kind of maybe rest some kids and do different things like that and not really take a step back. And that's something we've been chasing since we got here. You know, it's a tough, challenging schedule, but I feel like this group is ready for it. And it's really the only way to take the next step is to kind of test yourself. Tara and Natalie, both qualifiers from last year. Tara on vault, Tara was a vault MAC champ. Natalie Hamp was an uneven bar MAC champ. They both qualified to postseason, did very well. Both of them are going to come back and kind of be leaders for the team to help get us to that next level. Exciting freshmen to watch. Elise Knock is somebody who's really going to come in and kind of knock your socks off. I've been teasing her a lot about it. She's a 4-eventer who I think she's going to turn some heads this year. You know, we haven't had a freshman go after Freshman of the Year in a while, and I think we finally got a kid who can do that. And that's not to take away from the other freshmen on the team. This is a super talented group that improved our skill level immeasurably. So it's going to be a fun season for us. We're going to be fun to watch. Couple opportunities to watch us. Upcoming this Saturday, we actually have our Halloween inter squad that we're going to do inside the gym. When we run our inter squads like this, we split our team in half and basically just kind of run a meet and compete against each other. Kind of the first time we're going to score them in a controlled atmosphere, so we're pretty excited about that. Donna had mentioned our red-black inter squad, which is November 19th. It's a Friday night, the Friday before Thanksgiving. We'll set up the combo over here for a meet, bring some judges in, and kind of do the same thing. Just kind of get after it and kind of see where we stand in preparation for that January 7th time. You know, our goals don't change as we go from year to year. Our main goal is to be MAC champs again, and then that secondary goal is qualifying to regionals as a team. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much. Any questions?
What is the sort of 1.5-month period between that last year and the start of your regular season? What's going to be the priorities during that?
With where we are now, the priority is just going to be like polishing, cleaning up, getting after stuck landings, things like that. The good thing is this group is very prepared, so we're not looking to accumulate a bunch of things during that time. Like Connie said, we do go home during that time a little bit, so it's meandering through that. It does come at a good time to give the kids a little bit of rest because preseason's pretty aggressive on them. But then it's a pretty quick turnaround. I think my kids report back December 28th, and then we compete on the 7th, so it comes pretty quick. Well, thank you guys very much.
All right. right, it's time to move into some basketball talk, and for that, I'm pleased to welcome head coach Lisa Carlson from our women's basketball program. Lisa's in her seventh season, beginning her seventh season here at NIU. We've advanced to Cleveland with her team for the tournament 3 times in the last 5 years, and they will tip it off here in exhibition action Friday night at 7 versus Benedictine. So, Lisa?
Thanks, Donna. I would just like to welcome everybody. You know, anytime we have media day, that means that the season is really right around the corner. And I also think it's a great opportunity to just reflect a little bit. You know, when she says I'm entering my 7th season, there's many times that I think, wow, I can't believe I've been here that long. It seems like just yesterday that I was standing at the podium like this, being introduced as the head coach. And it's a little surreal to think how lucky and blessed I've been with the student athletes that I've had the opportunity to coach. And also with the leadership of Sean and Deborah especially in what we're trying to do in striving to win that MAC championship, like you've heard many of the coaches talk about already. I want to start out by introducing my staff that's here. They're really the brains behind the operation. Alexis, Lawrence, and Jane Stewart are both here starting their 3rd year on staff with me. Adam Tandez has been here for 6 years, really runs the offense for us, and also coordinates our recruiting efforts, which are so critical to success. Jane and Lex both coordinate our defense and also take care of the academic side of things, which I can't stand up here and say we were #1 in the country like Sam did, but we're pretty excited about what our student athletes have been able to do in the classroom when they sit at about a 3.7 GPA. Also new to our staff this year is Elise Roberts. She is a graduate assistant for us that coordinates a lot of our social media and creative content areas. And then Allie Lehman was a graduate assistant for us last year and is now kind of taken over the operations piece in our department. So I obviously am a little biased, but I think we have a great staff. I think they very much are passionate about the program and passionate about what we're trying to do. And sometimes that goes a really long way. You know, when I evaluate our program, I will always talk about 3 different areas, and many of you have heard me talk about this before, and the most obvious one is competitive success. I think there was times last year where we played some really good basketball. I think we have some pretty dynamic players on our team, but competitive success is something that we are striving to get better at all the time. The other piece is where are we at culturally? Do we feel good about the chemistry that we have? Do we feel good about the young ladies on our team that represent us both on the basketball court as well as within the department and then institutionally and in the community? And I think we're in a really good place there as well. And the other one is really strategically, like are we in a position from a game plan standpoint to step on the court against anybody and feel like we can have an opportunity to win because we've been able to put together a game plan. And I think that's really where my coaching staff comes in most. I think they work extremely hard at understanding what it takes for us to be competitive on the floor during the course of the ball game and giving us a chance to win. The last 18 months or more, when we've dealt with the things COVID-related that we have, I think it really gave us an opportunity to grow in a lot of areas. One of them is the relational piece of getting to know each other on a different level, getting to know each other, what makes them tick, their background, and really how much can we trust each other on the court. And I don't think that can be underutilized in success. So as many things as we talk about being negative in the last couple of years, I think that's one positive thing that has come out of COVID, and I feel like we are in a really good spot when it comes to the cultural piece and the trust piece of each other. I also can't tell you how refreshing it is to be back on the court on a day-to-day basis. And that started all the way last summer. You know, the summer before, it wasn't like that, and it was kind of messy. We weren't here, then we were here, then there was a ton of restrictions. But this past summer, having everyone back, having 8 weeks in the summer to really compete and get ready has put us in a position with a lot of returners, I think, to expect success. I don't know that I've been as excited about a team or more excited about a team than I am this year for a lot of reasons. I think we have great leadership. I think we have great experience. I think we have great talent. And as long as I don't screw it up, I think that should all lead to a lot of success. I also mentioned there was times last year that we played some really good basketball. Bowling Green was able to win the league last year. We played them twice. We were able to beat them twice. Central Michigan won the conference tournament. That's who we were eliminated by in Cleveland, but that's also somebody that came to the Convocation Center, and we were able to beat by 31. So when I look at the returners in the league, there's nobody that necessarily scares me. I think it's going to be a very interesting run in the MAC. I think there's a lot of teams that return a lot of pieces that are going to stand up much like I am today and say we should be in the mix. We should have an opportunity to cut down the nets in Cleveland. There's a ton of steps that have to take place before that can happen. Offensively, I'm going to talk a lot about it this year, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We are going to be led by our 1-2 punch in our point guard, Shelby Coker, and our post player, Asia Davis. The team knows that. Everybody's going to know that when they watch us play. And so the expectation with surrounding them with great players and great shooters, I think we have all of that. Shelby's coming off a year as a sophomore where she averaged 21 points a game, was an all-MAC performer, and was really a very dynamic point guard in our league. When I tell you that she's gotten better, that seems a little bit maybe unrealistic, but I can tell you she's gotten better. And I think the things you're going to see from her, anybody who watched us play last year understood that she was very dynamic in scoring the basketball in a lot of different ways. What you will see from her this year is that she will be able to pass and find her teammates at a much higher rate. I also think with a year of experience and what we asked her to do last year, she will take better care of the basketball. And so those are the areas we're going to see growth for her. I think when I look at Asia's development, again, she's somebody who can do a lot of damage in the bottom half of the lane, very versatile, very strong, is a very good rebounder. But again, the thing that makes her next level is that she has become a much better passer as well. I don't think there's a lot of teams that will be able to just play her straight up one-on-one. And when they don't, and when they double, she's going to know exactly what to do. And I think that's where her growth has really taken place. I'm going to talk about each player a little bit in years of eligibility remaining, which gets a little complicated. I feel like half of our team is seniors and half of our team is freshmen, and that's not really the case. I do have 4 players that are likely in their last year of eligibility, so we'll start there. Paulina Castro, a very familiar name since the time she stepped on campus, somebody who played all of last year healthy, which is something she was never able to do. She's a captain for us, and a lot because of her vocal leadership. She's somebody who's really smart, understands where everybody's supposed to be, and she can help navigate that. Whether she is on the floor or not, she can help from a leadership standpoint. When she is on the floor, she's a very dynamic shooter, and that's what she was able to show last year in that capacity. Erin Hodges, again, another very, very dynamic player. Erin brings something to the court for us that we don't have in a lot of other people. She's long, she's really athletic, she can defend, she can rebound. And again, when she's on the floor, she impacts the game in one way or another, which is really exciting. Michaela Brandon is another senior for us, and somebody, when I look at the growth that has taken place, especially in the last year, has been tremendous. She's another captain for us, so from a leadership standpoint, she's grown in leaps and bounds in that area. Probably one of the smartest players we have on the team as far as being a floor general, especially on the defensive end. An elite rebounder, and her skill set offensively has continued to grow. So she will play a ton at that 4 position for us. And then the other senior who is actually a grad transfer for us is Nia Ahart, who comes from Colgate. And when you watch Nia play, you'll know that she's a 5th-year senior. Like, right place, right time, great communicator, understands what we're trying to get accomplished. Like, she plays like she has great experience. And we love that about her. So that's the 4 seniors that I believe we will see in a uniform for the last time this year. The other seniors that I don't believe will be done, and again, a very familiar name, Janae Poison returns as the 6th person of the year in the league. She was top 10 in the country in 3-point percentage, and there's times in practice where some of the defenders on the team just shake their head because she can shoot it and she can shoot it deep. And when she gets hot, I don't know that there's a better shooter in the country, to be honest with you. She feels great physically, somebody who's really been through a lot from an injury standpoint, back-to-back seasons where she had knee injuries. She is as good now physically as she's ever been. And when the ball leaves her hand, there's never a time I don't think it's going in. She's a super energetic person as well, which is great in practice, and you'll definitely see that on game day. Emily Minar is another junior college transfer last year for us, plays a forward position, really athletic, active on the glass, good defensively, great teammate. She will be in the rotation for sure at the post position. She can play the 4 or the 5 for us, so she'll help us in that area. I say sophomore class, but again, they're juniors in the classroom, but that's really our most dynamic class. I mentioned Shelby, I mentioned Asia. Grace Hunter is also in that class. Somebody who has been really good in practice, is one of our most athletic and fit athletes. She only knows one speed, and that's 100% all the time. That's good and bad, most of the time good, but she's going to run through a wall every time she is on the basketball court. Our third captain, so again, those are 3 players that were voted on by their teammates, which holds a lot of weight when it comes to the respect that they have throughout the roster. I have 3 what I'm going to call repeat freshmen. Any of you who watch them play, you probably watch them on ESPN, which is awesome. Now you'll get a chance to see them in person. Brooke Stonebreaker is our tallest player. She's a 6'3" left-handed post player. Again, probably one of our most improved players from last year. Has managed to stay healthy, gets in work every day, and has really grown somebody who can score in the bottom half of the lane. Sid Mcrae, unfortunately, last year as a freshman had to have knee surgery, but she is cleared and in practice, and again, somebody who can really shoot the basketball. Left-handed, 5'10", dynamic shooter from 3, and defensively continues to get better all the time because of her knee injury getting better. And then the last repeat freshman is Jaden Marable, and I think Jaden is going to have a huge year for us. Somebody who is a combination guard. There's going to be times that I can play her and Shelby together where Jaden can play the point, Shelby can play off the ball a little bit. If you ask any of our players, definitely the most explosive and quickest player that we have on the floor, and her comfort level is just at an all-time high since she's been here. So if we put the ball in Jaden's hands, all of us trust that there's going to be a positive result. So I think we're going to see a lot from Jaden, and I'm excited about the year that she's going to have. We have 2 newcomers, 2 freshmen, Mariah Pruitt, who again fits right into what we like to do as far as shooting the 3. She comes from Des Moines Christian, has had a great preseason as far as really putting pressure on some of our other guards in practice to make them better. And Laura Nickel, who is a forward swing player, kind of do a lot of different things, can put the ball on the floor, can do some things back to the basket, can play the 3 or 4 position, very versatile and smart. So those 2 fit really well into what we're trying to do. That kind of rounds out our roster a little bit. Our non-conference schedule, again, much like you heard the coaches before me talk about, is extremely challenging, and I think that's the best way to prepare for what the MAC has to offer. We get an opportunity to play tomorrow night against Benedictine in an exhibition game, which is always exciting for the players to put on a uniform for the first time, not have to play against each other, get up and down the floor and kind of see where we're at. And then we have 9 non-conference games. 5 of them are against teams that went to the postseason last year. So that's really exciting. We open on the 9th against Illinois State, which is one of those teams that went to WNIT last year when the field was cut in half. So they had a great year in the Valley, and they are returning a lot of pieces to that postseason team. We also have Milwaukee, Bradley, and Colorado State at home. So that kind of rounds out our home schedule. As far as being on the road, we go to Drake. And again, people who followed women's basketball know that Drake is one of those teams that consistently goes to the NCAA tournament, and they have a great squad returning. We also go to Harvard, who I said 5 of the 9. You probably could say 6, but they didn't even play basketball last year in the Ivy League. So that'll be an exciting trip to Boston and give them an opportunity to play Harvard. The Compass Challenge is in its 4th year, so we will be at Western Illinois this year. That will be something that we renew and continue to do. So Eastern, Western, Southern, and Northern are all getting together and see who's theoretically the best team in the state. I know that the trophy is here, and we would like to keep it here, so that's exciting. And then my historians in the room, we get the opportunity to revitalize the home and away situation with DePaul. I wasn't here necessarily for all those heated rivalries, although Doug Bruno was. And so he tells me stories. I had the opportunity to talk a little bit to Jane Albright when I got hired. She had plenty of stories about the rivalry between NIU and DePaul. So we're going to go to Wintrust. We're going to play DePaul this year. Again, a team that's consistently been in the top 25 in the country out of the Big East. And then next season, they'll come back out here to DeKalb. So that'll be exciting. I mentioned a little bit the strength of the MAC, and I feel like I say that every year, but I think for sure this year, you know, some of the consistency that Central Michigan has been able to have at the top in the last few years, I know that Heather will continue to put out a great product and Central will be good, but they'll have many different faces. And I think you have a lot of teams in the middle that return a majority of their squad, and so there's likely 7 or 8 teams out there that feel like they will vie for a championship, with us being one of them. Like anybody, you have to stay healthy. You have to be able to go to war with the people that you have on your roster. But I think it'll be a really exciting and interesting run in the MAC. You got to get to Cleveland, and then you have to have a really good week of basketball. And I think any 8 that get to Cleveland will have that opportunity. Does anybody have questions? Yeah, I think that's what we see daily in practice. Is we've been able to challenge them at a much quicker rate because of the comfort level that they have with each other and the understanding of what we're trying to do on both sides of the ball. Not that we won't run a little bit of different things offensively and defensively, but they understand who has to have the ball in what situation and then where they need to be to have success. We're going to put the ball in Shelby's hands, and we trust that she is going to make the right decision. The shooters and the players around her also trust her to be in the right place, and they're going to be ready when she finds them. Defensively, I think we can expound a little bit on just being a man-to-man team and be able to press a little bit more, be able to trap a little bit more. We have the personnel to do that. And again, we've been able to really excel on the defensive end in changing things up a little bit, all because of the familiarity they have with each other.
Talked a little about Asia already, but what is it to see about her development over the last few years that makes you think she's set up for this?
You know, I think Asia has a great understanding of what it takes to be a really good college athlete and a really good college basketball player right now. You know, not every freshman, when they come in, they think they know, but they don't really always know. But then they live it for a year or two, and then they do know. Asia's super competitive. She wants to win, and she has a much better understanding of what we're going to need from her in order for us to do that. And so I think that's why we're going to see such a huge jump for her. Last year, she had a great year, missed a few games because of injury, but she has a clear understanding of what we're going to need from her, and so I think that's why we're going to see the jump that we do. You know, she's already had games where she's put up gaudy numbers. You know, she had 17 points, 17 rebounds as a very young player. There's going to be times that she could be a 20-20 person. That's a big expectation, and that's a big number, but I think she has the skill set to do that at times, and we'll rely on her under her knowledge of the game to have success. And I think she's ready for that.
You kind of mentioned talking with your staff over the summer about X's and O's perspective. What exactly were you guys trying to focus on for this season?
Yeah, I think what you'll see from us this year, we ran a ton of ball screen stuff last year, and we'll continue to do that because that puts us in a position for the right people to have the ball in their hands. I think we have grown enough in our familiarity with each other, we'll be able to just run some motion as well. And you can't do that unless the 5 players on the floor understand where everybody's going to be. I think we have a group that can do that. If you can do that, that makes you much more difficult to scout. And so I think that's why we'll have some success in that area, because we'll be able to play a little bit freer and be tougher to scout, and I think we have the talent to do that. It doesn't change things. We're still going to get up and down and run and shoot as much as we can. But when teams make us play in the half court, I think we have some options there.
You did mention shooting. You guys looking like a little bit like the analytical side, how 3-point shot more inclined than a 2-point shot, per se?
That's true. 3 is worth more than 2, so I like that. Actually, the analytics side of things in the last couple of years has probably been our biggest growth when it comes to, when I sit down with my staff, we stat and do an analytics breakdown of every practice. And so, yes, we're able to look at things that more than just the stat sheet will tell you. How many creation opportunities do they have? How many potential assists are out there during practice? So are we making the right basketball play at all times? It's easy to do in games, but having that information now in practice on the day-to-day, I think is really important for the players to understand as well, so they know if their development is in line with what we see as their role on the team. All right. Thanks again for everybody being here. It's going to be an exciting winter in the combo, right, Coach? Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lisa.
All right, thanks very much, Lisa. Appreciate it. And we'll have some women's basketball players here following our next speaker, who is in his first season. That was easy to figure out. I didn't even have to count or look that up. So entering his first year here as our head men's basketball coach at NIU. His first media day with NIU. They open up Saturday afternoon with 1 p.m. versus St. Francis, an exhibition game. Chance to see the team, and I would say catch them then, or catch them in December here at the Convo. So, Coach Rashawn Burno, welcome.
Sorry about that. Well, thank you guys for coming out. First, I want to introduce my staff. To the left of me, we have Matt Flemings, who's my Director of Basketball Operations. We have Drew Gladstone, who's an assistant coach. We have Brandon McDonald, who's another assistant coach. And we have Steve, who's a return assistant coach, who's been with me, I think, from the start of my tenure here. He was 17 year as a head coach at Triton College. So I'm super excited about my staff. My guys, you know, to give you where we are, my guys are extremely excited about what's to come. When I took the position, I wanted to make sure that these guys understood what it takes to really go out and compete at a high level. My standards throughout the day is pretty high. I'm pretty detail-oriented when it comes to what goes into winning. And the 6 guys that returned all bought in from day one. The 7 new guys that came along with us throughout the course of the April period, those guys have bought in as well. So you have 13 guys who all want to take this thing to the next level. And I'm super excited about that. The beauty of basketball, you always have time to redeem yourself. We'll have some good days, we'll have some bad days, but my guys have always shown up the next day ready to compete and push this thing forward. So I'm super excited. We've been going for the last 4 to 5 weeks pretty hard. We compete. We do a lot of teaching through film, and I'm excited about obviously the opportunity to show you guys on Saturday the new look of the Huskies. So I can't stress enough the importance of Saturdays. Starting this thing off right. We would like to have this place as full as possible. to support our guys and to get this thing going. Ultimately, when talking to Sean and Courtney throughout the process of interviewing, I knew this was a challenge, but I also knew that a big part of to try to get this thing going would be having people at the Convo and having people, here to make this one of the hardest places to play in the MAC. And that's my goal, not just mine, but the rest of the department and also the rest of my staff. Going into the players, we returned 6 players. Trendon is our leading scorer. He's a senior. He's a guy that has developed every day. He's a willing learner. My style of play was a little different than the previous staff, from the concepts to the freedom that I give my guys. And so he's a guy that you're going to see not only statistically take a jump, but also he's going to have a larger impact. And the way we play is going to free him up to not just be the primary scorer. I believe in a system of random movement based on concepts, based on things that we do throughout the course of practice that will carry over into games. We also brought in some exciting new players. We got a kid out of Tulsa. He's a local kid. He's a phenomenal player. He's here, standing in the corner. He's going to be one of the guys, and Keyshawn Williams is the kid's name. He's going to be a guy that, obviously will have some exciting plays, but he's also still a freshman, so there's still a learning curve with most of my guys. We're returning 6, but 7 new guys, and we're trying to mesh 13 guys to really go out and compete every night and try to win and win the right way. So it's going to be a challenge. Obviously with some of the new guys, we're going to do a really good job of slowly bringing them into the fold. But the 6 returning guys, those guys are going to be the guys that we're going to lean on, sheer from the experience of playing in the MAC. So we're super excited. The other thing that I'll touch on is a non-conference schedule. I really wanted to go out and challenge these guys and challenge the team. So our first opening opponent is Washington, which is a Pac-12 school. Coach Hopkins has done a phenomenal job. I want to say of his 5 years there, he's been the Pac-12 Coach of the Year twice. So we have our challenge, obviously going on the road with a new team, new coach, new style of play, to go to a Washington environment and try to get a win. Those guys are extremely, extremely competitive in the Pac. From there, we'll go to Indiana with the new regime. Coach Woodson obviously has a wealth of experience being an NBA head coach multiple times, great player in his day, and you're playing at Indiana, one of the historical arenas in all of college basketball. It'll be a packed house, 17-2. So our guys are going to really have to be focused in that environment. Every time we line up, our goal is to compete. Our program is on an upward tick. I believe that wholeheartedly. Our guys believe it. And so our opinion is based on the 13 guys that's in the locker room, right? We focus on us and us only. But our expectations going into the season is to compete and compete at a high level. And if we do that with what we do defensively, what we do offensively, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win a lot of games. But it starts with the mindset of our guys every day. From there, we go to MTE. We play at Missouri. Coach Conzo Martin, one of my good friends in the business, he's a guy that I modeled my career after. He's a fierce competitor. I competed against him in the SEC when he was a head coach at Tennessee, and also in the Pac-12 when he was a head coach at California. His teams are physical, they're tough, they don't beat themselves. And so that's going to be a tremendous challenge to go to a Missouri after coming off a game at Indiana. But yet again, the process has always been about building this thing for the future. We're going to go out and compete. Our most important game, obviously, is the first MAC game on the 28th. So our non-conference was all built to get us ready to go out and compete on the 28th. And I think we've done a phenomenal job there. From there, we play BU down in Jacksonville. Coach Jones done a phenomenal job. That team just came off of a tournament run. He has all of his guys back, so I expected an unbelievable challenge with Boston University. We also will play the winner of Little Rock and Sam Houston State the following day, another competitive game. We're off, and then we go to Marquette. Coach Shaka Smart and I share the same mentor in Billy Donovan. I've known Shaka for a long time. He's a tremendous winner, took VCU to the Final Four. took Texas to multiple NCAA tournaments, and now he's at Marquette. So I understand the type of environment Marquette will be, being a friend of Shocker and knowing how hard he get his guys to play and how competitive that team will be in his first year. So I'm super excited about that. And then we finally get home to the Convo. We play Eastern Illinois. And my goal, and I said this to Sean and Courtney throughout the interview process, is we got to protect home. We have to protect home. That's the only way that we can get this thing from where it is to where it needs to be, is to protect home, and not just winning at home, but also from a recruiting standpoint. And this will be a test to send a message to the rest of the state that NIU is serious about the state of Illinois and competing at a high level. From there, we got another friend of mine. It seems like I got a lot of friends on this roster, on this schedule. Anthony Grant, who's another Billy Donovan disciple. Unbelievable year 2 years ago. I think they were top 2 in the tournament. They were wire-to-wire top 5 in the country at Dayton. Dayton has a rich tradition of winning. That is an unbelievable environment. That's a program I can say that we will model ourselves after in regards to trying to get us to be like a Dayton of the A10. Anthony Grant has done a phenomenal job with that program. He did a phenomenal job at Alabama. He did a phenomenal job at VCU. So our guys are going to get pushed to this brink. But I feel strongly that everything we've done in the offseason, everything we've done in the spring has prepared us for this moment. We will have some good, some bad, some ugly days, but the process won't stop for us. Our guys are committed to the long-term goal of getting this thing respectable and to ultimately cut down nets. I can't tell you when, but I can tell you it will happen based on how we go about our daily business. And my guys know the mantra is every day we start over. Every day we're willing to pay the price, but we're going to start over every day. And that's just how life starts, and that's how basketball is in all the sports. You got to be willing to start over. So obviously our non-conference will end with Chicago State and at UIC. 2 competitive, obviously programs, 2 programs that, obviously we all vie for the same players for the most part. So we got to do a really good job of playing in those games. And then we'll end up our home schedule with Indiana State at the Convo Center on the 22nd. So with that being said, we're super excited to be here. Obviously, this is my first press conference. I think my program is moving in the right direction. I feel comfortable and happy with my guys. And Saturday, you'll get a chance to see the new look NIU Huskies. My style of play, we're going to be super aggressive. I'm a Jersey City guy. My mindset is to hit first. Similar to Coach Thomas, who's a Jersey guy. We're going to hit first. So you're going to see that constantly. We're going to compete for every inch of that floor, and we're going to go out and do our best. But you're going to see a competitive, 13 guys moving as one unit. So with that being said, I'll open up for any questions.
This past recruiting period, you brought in transfers such as Felicia Hunter and Austin, Keisha Williams. So how much of a role do you expect those transfers to play on the court this season?
A big role. Sheer, just from the fact that these guys have had experience. Chris Austin came with me from Arizona State. He's played at the highest level. He's played in hostile environments. He knows what goes into winning. He has the understanding of what my expectations are from day to day and also in competition. So those guys bring experience, and they bring a different skill level that I needed on this team.
With the returns, how do you see them kind of flush through the system last year?
They've been phenomenal. I think, the difficult part when you inherit a team is the trust factor, right? I'm a new coach. They probably have people in their ears and their circles saying, hey, he's not your guy. He's going to bring his guys in. And so I tried my best, and my staff as well, to break down that and to garner trust by action. So, Crump and Trendon and Adong and Zool, all the returners and KT, those guys are my guys. And I said that to them the moment we had our introductory meeting up at the Nelson Center. Like, you're my guys. And so I coached them no different than I would a Chris Austin who came in, or Doishi or Keyshawn. We're one family. And they understand that, and their role would be, obviously prominent because they have experience. Obviously last year didn't go as planned, but they have experience. The thing that you'll see different in them is their confidence, right? To me, confidence is earned. I can't walk up to, one of my players and just instill confidence in them. They're going to have to work. I can help them, but these guys have put a tremendous amount of time on their craft to earn their own confidence. My job is to put them in positions to be successful.
So this being your first season head coach and 7 of 13 players on the roster, the newcomers, how important veteran leadership such as him to this team?
It's huge, but he's not the only leader, right? I empower all my guys to be leaders, right? He'll have a large voice, but these other guys matter, right? Everyone matters. And so I think the environment that I try to foster with not just the staff, but also the players, everyone has a voice, everyone has an opinion. And so Trendon has an opportunity because of his play to have a large role, but his role is no greater than the next guy or the next guy to the next guy. It's going to take 5 guys on the floor to work as a unit to beat some of the guys that I mentioned on his roster. On his schedule. And so we really want our guys to be committed to each other. But Trendon, with what we've done, what he's put into the game, I expect him to have a really good campaign. But the good thing is he's going to have help alongside of him. And, this thing is going to be like I said, some good, some bad, some ugly. But we think we have a plan, and we're going to stick to it, and we're going to make adjustments when needed. But he'll have the support to be not just a vocal leader, but also he'll have other, obviously people vying for him to help him along the way. Yes, we have a guard, Noah Khan, out of Houston. One of my goals, right, in taking his position, you have to go out and get winners, right? Noah Khan is a winner, 2-time state winner in the state of Texas. If anyone knows about basketball, state of Texas is a pretty good state. I would rank it up there with Illinois, New York, New Jersey, California. And he won 2 state titles. He's a fierce competitor, super athlete, can score. So I'm excited about him, but he's also a freshman, right? So I got to temper expectations for him because he thinks, honestly, he can go out and compete against anyone at any time, any day. And so my goal is to put him in a position to where he can learn from some of the other guys. But he's a fierce competitor. We also have, we talked about Dawishi Hunter, who came from Weber State, 6'4", can shoot it. He's a competitor as well. And that's not just winners, but you also got to bring in guys who want to compete at a high level. My guys refuse to lose. They hate losing. And that's how systematically you break down, right, the old habits and you start fostering good habits. And in order to compete, you got to have a roster, especially with the conference that we're in, with Buffalo, Toledo. Those guys are all really, really good programs over a course of time, right? So you got to go out and get guys who are fierce competitors and winners. And I think I've done a good job, the staff has done a good job of accumulating those type players.
Coach, what's impressed you the most for last 4 or 5 weeks? What's impressed you maybe as a person, but maybe more as a team? What's the most angelic when it comes to
I think just the attention to detail by these guys. When you start to implement something new, and guys tend to be hesitant because they don't know. These guys have been extremely vulnerable on and off the court with each other, but on the court, these guys are working towards the same goal. They're learning at a rapid rate. My coaching philosophy and style is a little bit different than what they're used to. I'm extremely vigilant on detail because detail matters when you're trying to win games, right? Where is 1 or 2 baskets can decide a game. And so these guys are taking a liking to not just getting in the gym from a physical standpoint, but also mentally preparing themselves by watching film. Like we spend an enormous amount of time in individual film sessions, but also collectively as a team. And that's going to help the curve. That's going to speed up the process, especially when you have 7 new guys and 6 older guys all trying to mesh in a small amount of time. a competitive one. Like I said, I don't get into predictions. I and myself and the staff feel confident about the product that we're going to put out there. All right, but the game still has to be played. But I think, you know, and that's the importance of having people at the Convo. You're going to be super excited about the energy and the passion and the toughness that you're going to see these 13 guys exhibit every night. There won't be a night where there's going to be a lull, because that's not how we practice. That's not the standard of this program. We're going to go out and compete. Doesn't mean we're going to win every game, but the opponent knows he's going to be in a dogfight.
So in the past you said that you want the team to play with freedom, that will be extreme discipline in their craft, and that they're going to play a fun style basketball, and be aggressive on both sides. Can you elaborate on what that seems like?
Yeah, we're gonna pick you up 94 feet. We're gonna get into your legs. You know, I think my team is gonna be one of the best conditioned teams in the MAC. I feel strong. I stand on that. So we're gonna really force you to think under duress. We got 13 guys. I plan on using all 13. My goal is to get into your legs into the second half, and now execution, discipline, all that stuff comes into play. From an offensive concepts, we're going to play freely, but we also got to take advantage of the talent that's on the floor. So everything we do is to put our guys in positions to be successful. My guys are extremely versatile. You know, obviously Anthony Crump, who is a returning player, we spent an enormous amount of time in trying to develop his game from the post, from the perimeter, and he's going to be a guy that's going to be all over the floor. You know, obviously we talked at length about Trendon, but Keyshawn Williams, Darwishi Hunter, Noah Khan, you know, obviously Kingsley, who is one of the toughest physical kids all of MAC, is going to have, I think, an outstanding year because of his passion and, more importantly, his attention to details. Like, he's going to be a guy that's going to surprise a lot of people based on what they saw last year. Zul is a guy who's known as a shooter, but we expanded his game. He's going to be in a different role. So ultimately, these guys are going to go out and we're going to compete. But also from an offensive standpoint, we're going to be hard to guard because I'm not a set-oriented guy where you can come down, you pass here, you go here. We play more freely, but we play with structure that I think will benefit our roster. Well, I appreciate you guys coming out, and I can't stress enough the importance of having a Convo packed. That is a tremendous advantage for us, and that gives us an opportunity to make this a difficult environment to come and play. Thank you.
All right, at this point, we're going to split off and do some one-on-one interviews with the student athletes that we have here. From the men's basketball team, we have Trendon Hankerson, Anthony Crump, and Keyshawn Williams. From women's basketball, we have Asia Davis and Michaela Brandon, as well as some other players who will be coming in prior to practice. The women do practice at, I believe, 1 o'clock, so if you can get started with the women's players, that would be great, and appreciate everyone being here and watching. Thanks.